Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be talking about this absolutely stunning philodendron. I'll put up the name on the screen because it's quite difficult to pronounce the name. It's quite a big name for a philodendron, but thankfully it has a common name, which is the narrow dragonfly. Now don't go according to the size and the shape of the leaves, because this is a very young, or I would say a juvenile form of this philodendron. The leaves are going to look completely different. I will put up the image on the right hand side. This is how they tend to look as and when they start to grow. Unfortunately, this part was eaten by the caterpillars. As you can see, this lobe was also eaten by the caterpillar. But the plant is going to do quite well. It is putting out a new growth, so I'm quite excited about it. It will take quite some time for the leaves to get that shape, but nevertheless the plant is healthy, the plant is growing well, and I'm fine with that. Now let's talk in detail about the care tips. This plant will do well in indirect bright light, just like any other philodendron. Do not expose it to long hours of direct sunlight, especially afternoon direct sunlight, otherwise the leaves will get burnt. They are more accustomed to indirect bright light or filtered light or dappled sunlight. You can provide early morning 9 a.m. Before that 9 a.m. Mild morning direct sunlight, you can provide that, but after that try to give it indirect bright light. Now the soil mix remains the same which I use for all of my plants, which is a mix of coco peat, garden soil and sand, because philodendrons prefer loose porous well draining soil mix, yet which retains a slight amount of moisture. Talking about watering, this again depends upon your environment and climate and what kind of a soil mix you have, but in general I would say whenever you see around 1 to 2 inch of the upper layer of soil is dry, go ahead and do a complete watering until the water starts passing through the drain hole. Now over here I'm using a water bottle as a pot, because I had some of these bottles that I had collected and I wanted to reuse these bottles. And anyways, this plant does not need a very large pot because it is a climbing plant. You can see I'm using a coir rope pole, so this is going to be a secondary growing media for this plant. So even if the pot is small, it's absolutely fine. As and when the plant starts to grow, it will grow vertically. If I have to change the pot later on, I can do that and grow something else in this, but as of now the plant is very young and this bottle is more than enough for the plant to grow. So the soil should be slightly moist but not soggy wet. That's why we are using sand, so that the excess water can drain out. Now talking about temperature and humidity, these will do well in a temperature range between 15 degrees Celsius all the way up to 34, 35 or even 36 degrees Celsius. As and when the plant matures, it can handle a little bit more of heat. Humidity, the plant will do well in average humidity as well. There is no issue with that. Anywhere between 50-60% and higher is good for the plant. If you are from a very dry environment, then I would suggest to do a light misting, or if you're growing them indoor and it is dry, use a humidifier. But if you are from a humid environment, you don't need excess humidity for this plant. As I said, 50-60% of humidity is absolutely fine for this plant. What I tend to do, I am from a dry environment, I mist my plants daily, plus I tend to club a lot of plants together, so that tends to create extra humidity for the plants. Now talking about, is this plant toxic? Yes, these plants are toxic, so ensure you keep this plant away from the reach of small children and pets, because the leaves are toxic. Talking about fertilizers, they are summer growing plants, that is their active growing period. So during summers you can use fertilizers once a month, whether it's vermicompost, compost or seaweed liquid fertilizer, absolutely fine. They're not very heavy feeders, so once a month is more than enough. Please don't add any fertilizers during the winter season. Talking about propagation, it is very simple to propagate. Right now I don't see a node on this. Oh yeah, over here as you can see, this is where the velcro tape is, and you'll be able to see the aerial root. So that's the node area. You can just cut it over here and then either put it in water or you can directly put it into the soil. It's absolutely fine. I'll also put an image on the left hand side, so that can give you a better idea of where to do the cutting. A pole is must for this plant because this is a climbing plant, so you will have to use a pole, whether a coir rope pole, coir pole or a sphagnum moss pole, any one will do, but a pole is must. So I think it's about to rain, so I'm going to end the video over here. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep planting.